We eat when we are bored, angry, sad, or lonely. We eat to treat ourselves after a long day, to comfort ourselves after an argument, to escape from our problems, or to distract ourselves from our unhappy and dysfunctional life. Some of us eat food to punish themselves when they feel guilty. We eat because food changes how we feel. We eat because for some of us, food is our drug of choice. It seems like a solution for everything. I remember the day when I was driving home, crying. I just spent a few days with my boyfriend, and on the way back home, I went to petrol stations to buy chocolates, muffins, cakes. I didn't want anyone to notice how much junk food I was buying, so I went to 3 different petrol stations. We lived 1.5 hours drive apart, so you can imagine how much food I had in the car. I knew it was wrong to eat all that food, but it was like something took over me. And as I was eating, I was crying to the point of not being able to see the road ahead of me. I felt ashamed. All I could think about was, my life is a mess. 6 months prior, when my long-term relationship broke, I found myself feeling alone, unloved, unwanted. It was like he left this deep, dark hole inside of me. I hated my job because I felt bullied. Every day I went to work not knowing what to expect there. After a long day, I came home to a cold and empty space. So peanut butter on toast, caramel slice, and chocolate became my friend and my therapist. There was this empty space that I tried to fill, but no matter how much food I ate, the need for love, care, and touch, that was never met. No amount of food could ever make me happy. In fact, the more I ate, the more lost and miserable I felt. I felt like a failure. Some people drink alcohol. Others take drugs, watch porn, or spend hours on social media to get that next dopamine hit, to procrastinate from our house chores, or from having that difficult conversation we've been putting off for weeks. When these coping mechanisms start controlling our lives, we can choose to reduce or to eliminate them, because we can't live without them. But we can't live without food. We need to eat to live. And this is what makes it more complicated. Food, as a drug of choice, is accepted. When we're babies, our mother gives us food, holds us in her hands, soothes us until we fall asleep. We get a biscuit when we clean up our room as a treat for being good. We get a lolly when we cry. So very early on, we learn how food makes us feel. And these learned self-soothing mechanisms continue on in our adult life. How many times have we seen a movie scene with a girl eating a tub of ice cream because her boyfriend just broke up with her? Food is accepted by society. It's encouraged and it's normalized. Food is cheap. And it's available everywhere. And as opposed to drugs, we don't get arrested for eating food either. Have you ever thought to yourself, I think I have a food problem? Or something along the lines, I think I'm addicted to food. Well, I believe we are addicted to escaping from our problems, emotions, and feelings. We're seeking that quick fix in uncomfortable situations, and food enables us to do that. Just think about it. How do you feel when you eat chocolate? Calm? Maybe relaxed? Why do we crave sugar when we feel stressed? Because food changes how we feel instantly. It gives us that high, just like drugs do. We get told girls shouldn't be angry. Boys don't cry. We even have anger management courses. And when we tell other people how we feel, they try to fix us, to make us feel happy, and encourage us to look on the bright side. But as humans, we are born with the ability to feel a variety of emotions: anger, sadness, disappointment. And yet these feelings are seen as problematic or as negative. So we medicate ourselves with drugs, alcohol, or food. And sometimes food is the only and last pleasure that's left in our life. That's why I believe we don't have a food problem. We have a life problem. I hear stories like these on a regular basis in my practice. And by the way, all these names are made up to keep them anonymous. I once asked Tony, a client of mine, "What does your heart desire?" And he said, "Eugenia, all I long for is love and connection from my wife. But because I don't get it, I go over to the chocolate in the fridge. It doesn't reject me. It's always there for me." Working with Lena, she told me how much pressure she felt to be the perfect mother, wife, grandmother. She was always saying yes to people and adjusting her schedule based on their needs. She was feeling guilty and selfish for taking time for herself. She was basically a people pleaser. She learned to be a good human, we need to be there for others. But that didn't come without costs. To rebel and do what she wanted, she was eating secretly at nighttime when her husband went to bed and nobody was watching. Because that was the time when she could be herself. When I asked Emma, "What do you not want to admit?" she said, "I haven't been sexually attracted to my husband for over 6 years. He's all I know. He's my safety blanket. But every time he tries to be close to me, I feel guilty for not being able to give him what he needs. So I binge on food for days to punish myself." We all seek happiness. We just sometimes seek happiness in the wrong place. Happiness is not found in a package of chips, in a bar of chocolate, in a shopping mall, or in a bottle of wine. Happiness lies within us. There's always this subtle knowing, the gentle voice that's talking to us. When we pause, feel, and listen, that's when we get the opportunity to reconnect with that inner knowing, our dreams and desires. Neglecting that voice for too long, it starts screaming at us that something is wrong. So when we no longer distract, avoid, or numb our emotions, that's when we get the opportunity to reconnect with that inner knowing, our hopes and dreams. So when Tony identified his need for love and affection from his wife, he also learned about the difference in their love languages. He understood she is showing him love by keeping the house clean, cooking for him, and she's the only breadwinner in the house as well. He also expressed to her that he feels love through touch, which she was able to embrace and give it to him. When Lena identified that her worth is not defined by pleasing others, she started setting boundaries and saying no to people. And she noticed she didn't need to eat secretly because she didn't need to rebel against anyone else, but most importantly, not against herself. When Emma connected with her knowing, asking herself, what do I really need? What do I want? She noticed that her need to binge vanished. She also told her husband that she's gonna leave. And that was one of the most healing conversations she's had in a long time. Well, and myself, when I arrived that night, I felt sick from eating all that food. My eyes were swollen from crying, and I fell asleep asking myself, why can I not stop eating? What is wrong with me? Why do I not have stronger willpower? I know about food, I know about nutrition. Why can't I just do what I know? Next day, I called my boyfriend and told him everything. I said, I need help. I can't do this on my own anymore. That's where he suggested a family friend. Working with him, I started asking myself those deeper questions. What does food mean to me? What do I know? What do I desire? And the answers were, food is my lover, my friend, and my therapist. Food was there for me when I came from a job that I hated. It distracted me from my heavy emotions, and it gave me something to do when I felt alone. Food was everything for me. When I had those answers, that's when I could change my life to find true happiness. That's when I quit my job and started my business, helping other people to regain their control around food so they could create a life that's meaningful to them, that is fueled by freedom, joy, and true happiness. That's when I noticed that I no longer needed food to fill my life. My life was already full. As long as we're scared to disappoint others, we will keep disappointing ourselves and then numb the pain that we live in. But what if we could look into our relationship with food to find true happiness? What if we could ask ourselves those deeper questions? What do I know? What do I avoid to feel? What do I wish? What do I dream? What do I hope? So what I wish for us all is to have the courage to pause, listen, and connect with our inner knowing so that we can make decisions based on our truest self, based on our truest desires, wishes, and hopes.